Hey everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you from Dallas Trading Floor. I hope everybody is good today. It is a Thursday, I believe, and we're on here on Dallas Trading Floor. The market seems to have been, it seems to be moving very nicely today, up quite a bit, from where we were yesterday. Tesla is over 800, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So without further ado, let's kind of get into these slides. And I want to first start with the market direction here. The market is in a confirmed uptrend, and we're still in a confirmed uptrend. The Dow is making a new high. So, it seems like we seem to be the coast is clear, at least for right now. So. That is kind of what's going on here. Up 2.37%. Some of the EV stocks have made some highs, and Tesla definitely, and I'm going to be talking about that, has made made an all-time high, which may give us another bite at the apple. Possibly another buy point. So, just kind of want to go over that with everyone. So I want to start with the Nasdaq. Basically, here we go with the Nasdaq. It's it's up strongly today, 2.39%. Now, of course, this is this is a broad index. So, but all the index seem to be up today. I mean, both the Nasdaq is up, as well as as well as the S&P. The S&P is up. When this slide was taken, it was it was definitely up on the day, and that is indeed very, very bullish. Up 55.33, right at about the 3,800 level for the S&P composite. So that indeed is a very good thing as well. And last but not least, I want to show you the Dow, and this is the real, this is the real key one here. It's 3,100. I mean, the fact that it's this high is just amazing. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but the key level, of course, is 30,000. As you can see, we pulled back, last week, but we've just steadily made a new high. So we're moving up on the Dow as well. So it's kind of interesting. I think there is a bit of a rotation right now out of some of the tech stocks, so we've got to be kind of careful with those, the Microsofts and the Apples. I'm sold out of Apple, into some of the other stocks, and I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about that today. But but overall, it looks pretty good. Here's my chart of Tesla. Just want to kind of give you a look on that. We've pushed past the resistance level, which I estimated at about 745. And it's just moved right up. When this slide was taken, it was at 808, and of course it was Morgan Stanley that last week made the recommendation that they were looking at a target price of 810. So hopefully you are in it. I've been adding to my positions here going into this, and I will be setting the stop loss up probably pretty significantly, probably at about. Depending on how it closes tonight, probably at about 775 area is probably where I'm going to set my stop loss on Tesla, because it looks like it's it's once again moving stronger. I have another interesting one for you that you might be interested in. This one. This is a company that I just kind of want to put on on the radar for people. I haven't bought it yet. I'm trying to basically do something with this one with a buy stop limit order. And the way that works, of course, is that with the buy stop limit order, you buy it as it's moving higher. And this is a interesting company here. It's 100% rated in terms of the the O'Neill ratings. It's called Jefferies Financial Group, JEF. It's basically an investment bank. And again, it's one of the areas that I'm trying to move out of some of the heavy tech into something that's a little bit more real economy. And I do think that as the economy opens up, this may be maybe one that does really well. I'm currently have a buy stop limit order in at 26.50. So if it moves above that, that's where I'll buy it. I'll actually buy it as it's moving higher. Currently, it's 43% held by funds. It's projecting next year to move, move very decisively in terms of its profits and prices. So this one you might want to put on your watch list. It's symbol JEF. I want to give you also sort of a look at what I'm doing in terms of my holdings. I've trimmed my number of holdings to basically, hopefully, the mostly winners. That's what I'm looking, obviously, to do. And what I've got, of course, is I did buy another position today in Blink Charging. It is making all-time highs. It's currently at about $44.99, up about $3.62. What I did today is I bought 100 more shares, and then I sold a January 29th 50 call option, which paid about $5.05. I did put together a small little earlier today. I did come out with a little 4-minute video on YouTube on this very on this very subject, and that was at youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor, and it's called Stocks in 60, and then this one on Blink Charging. So you might want to take a look at that one as well. I'm in Progeny. This is an interesting in vitro fertilization company. It's up today. Of course, we've had just tremendous gains on the GBTC. This is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Basically, the GBTC is it holds 4% of the world's Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin is also moving up very, very powerfully today. Of course, we're talking about Tesla. When this was taken, it was 804, and then, of course, the slide I showed you before was 809. So it's above that key $800 level. Tonight, I'm probably going to be setting my stop losses up at about 775. That's where I'm going to be putting them. Also, as you know, I moved into FCX, which is Freeport McMoran. This is a very large gold mining stock, and it's up as well, and it's up about 79 cents, but it's $3 stock, so that's about 2.6% on that. So overall, that's kind of where I have been moving my stocks around. So let's get into the questions, and let's go to YouTube. Thanks for waiting. And that's the first question. Hey, CNQ a good buy? Well, let's see. Let's take a look to see if it is CNQ. And that's Canadian Natural Resources. So I'm going to start with the weekly chart here just to take a quick look, and here we go. Here's the thing. We did have essentially a downward trend. It looks like it may have been broken. That's one of the first things you want to look at is on the weekly chart. You want to look at that. You want to look at that that overall trend. It's sort of been flat. It's sort of been flat, and then it pulled it back down. This was in March, and since then it's been pulling up. So I do like to see the action on that. The buy point on this one, on a first stage consolidation, was 22.50. It's a little bit extended from that, but let's see if we can find a buy point for this in this. Yeah, 25.55 is essentially where the neckline would be, and we're above that. So we're a little bit extended in terms of in terms of it, but let's take a look to see. I do like a lot of these resources stock. 6 out of 9, so it definitely passes there. It's also in it's about 56% owned by funds. That's very good, because as we know, it's really funds that that move stocks more than anything else. So that's the kind of things we want to look at. So it's about let's see, 56% funds. That's good. We do have a good composite rating. The composite rating is above 80, and we always want to do that. So the question is, where could you buy that? Well, to me, it is a little bit extended, but if it moved above the higher high at about 27.35, that's probably where I'd like like to look at buying it. It's at 27.32 right now, so it's about 50 cents below that. So I wouldn't buy that until it made a higher high. That's kind of the secret here. Made a higher high, and then I think I would be in it at about where it had made its higher high at about 27.30. Currently, it is at 27.32. So you could probably buy it right now, actually. So this isn't a bad one. You know, this isn't a bad one. Let's look at the checklist once again. 6 out of 9, so that passes there. So yeah, I definitely see you get, you know, you could do it all clear on this one. If you do buy this one, make sure that you set your stop loss relatively tight, 2.5 or 3% below where you buy it, to make sure that it's moving again to a higher level. So I definitely like this one. Thank you so much for the question, and thanks for watching here. Let's see if I can take a question from TikTok here. So there we go. Oh, what's the software you're using on the screen, please? Well, I use a different pieces of software, but the software I use for my charts is called MarketSmith, and it's available from IBD, Investor Business Daily. So thank you very, very much for that question. It's a very good software. It does do a lot of the pattern recognition for me, saves me a ton of time. The question came in from Tony, GGGGG, so Tony and 5 Gs, excuse me, wants to know about LGVW. So let's look at LGVW real quick. LGVW. Let me see if I can give you kind of a read on this. This is Longview Acquisition Corp. This is a blank check company. I don't typically recommend blank check companies, and here's why. They're pools, and it's true. I mean, a lot of people have done very, very well with these kind of things. But here's my take on that. I typically like to know what I'm buying before I'm buying it. So I have to take a pass on Longview Acquisition. Basically, it's a blind pool where people put money and then they will go and find you know, an acquisition target, and that way it cuts out time to get a stock onto the exchange. So that's they used to call these reverse mergers. And but I can't really give you any guidance on this because it is you know, I don't know exactly what they're invested in. So I appreciate the question, but and that is the chart of it. But you know, there's just really isn't enough there, you know, to do anything on. So thanks for the question, but I can't really give you a really good answer. So I apologize for that. Okay, so let's take a look at Adam. Thank you. Let's your thoughts on BTC. This is Bitcoin, I think, is what you're talking about. Now, I don't, you know, here's the thing about Bitcoin. I typically don't invest in Bitcoin directly. I'm not saying that's not a, you know, it's not, you know, that's just my choice because I like to be liquid in and out of Bitcoin. What I use for Bitcoin is I use the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and I'll show you that in just a second. That is essentially what I use. They hold 4% of the world's Bitcoin, and the symbol for it is GBTC, and I've been buying this since about 18, and this gives you an idea. This kind of, it doesn't totally correspond, you know, one for one with the movement of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has just been on fire, as you know. But you can see it's been very, you know, but you can see this one's doing very well. I do believe this one is, you know, potentially a very good buy because it is above, it's making a higher high. And of course, I always like to buy when things are making a higher high. As you can see, it's pulled above, essentially its all-time high. Its all-time high was about here at $40. It's currently at about 44. Now, here's the thing. When you're buying them as they're moving to their higher high, you want to buy this typically, you know, we want about 5%. Let's see if I can do this. This is not the greatest thing, but 5%. So within 5% of 40, it's viable. So it's really, Bitcoin currently is probably viable up to about 48. It's at 44 right now. Do I think it's going to go higher? Who knows? I certainly can't tell you that. but I do think that there's a lot of interest in it. As you can see, it's just moved very, very quickly. Most of you know, this is significant because of this high volume in here. So this is how I play Bitcoin, and I do think, you know, I do think we may even see some more activity in Bitcoin. Part of the reason is because people are getting a little bit worried about how extended a lot of things are in the economy, how much you know, how much credit that's been put into the system, and you know, we may have some inflation coming up here, because typically periods of deflation, which we've been having essentially for the last, oh goodness, I would say at least since the Obama administration, beginning of the Obama administration, we've been essentially in a deflationary. Usually what happens is at the end of those deflationary periods, we move to inflation. So I do think that, you know, people are getting a little concerned about this. This is one of the reasons why I'm shifting from my tech orientation, though I still, you know, I'm still very interested in the NASDAQ stocks, to a more of a defensive area in things like Bitcoin and potentially in some of the gold miners. I'm not in the physical gold or anything like that, but I am looking very seriously at some of the gold miners, because I do think coming up with all this stimulus going into the economy, there's likely to be more interest in you know, people are going to, you know, they've tried to prop up the value of a lot of assets. You know, we're going to start to see the air come out of the tire probably a little bit, and a lot of people will want to preserve their wealth. And one of the ways they can do that, of course, is with Bitcoin. That's the reason I use the gbtc, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and also with gold. But I like the gold miners rather than the actual physical gold. Gold has also been moving up as well. So that's just kind of my my quick take on it. All right, so let's take a look at, let's see. Okay, on your blink option today, what is your exit strategy if it falls below the below your premium cushion? Very good. Thank you, Mega Homes. Thank you for taking a look at my video as well. Here's what I do typically on this is that I calculate, and I you know, I'm glad you watched this. What I do is I typically will calculate the overall exit basically based on the premium that was received minus the entry price minus about 7%. So I do put a stop loss in there, but it's typically it's 7% minus 7% plus whatever the option premium was. In this case, it was 5%. It was $5. So it was basically a little over a 12%. A 12% premium. You add those two together, you get about 19%. That's where you put your stop loss. If the stock falls out of the sky, you will keep the option more than likely, or the option will decline in price where you can buy it back, and then you want to stop out your asset fall at about 20%. 19 to 20% is where you want to do it. But of course, if and this is I'm getting kind of technical here, but of course, if it moves higher than that $50 on the 29th of January, where the auction expiration date is, then of course you're gonna sell the underlying stock for $50 a share, plus you're going to keep that option premium. Of course, if it doesn't reach that price, you're going to keep the option premium. So it sort of has a three-level strategy. But I typically, the way I do that is I look at the option premium. You know, I convert that into the percentage, and then I add to that about 7% to it. So that's going to give me about where I'm going to put that stop loss underneath the price. So very good. Thank you for watching that. That was a particularly interesting one because of the high, you know, because of the high price of the option. I tried to take advantage of that higher priced option. But thank you very, very much for that, for looking. Thoughts on CRISPR, CRSP, and this is one of the ones I like a lot because it's in the gene editing business. I do like this area. I do think this is a emerging area of interest in the market. Just like electric vehicles, I think that gene editing is one of those kind of areas that I think a lot of you know, investment is being targeted to. So CRSP is one of the best ones in that area. There's also and it's up today. Tremendous. Let's take a look at it. Let's start with the weekly chart first. You want to kind of start with that just to kind of get an idea of the general overall trend. And of course, the trend here is excellent. As you can see, it's just moving right up that. It's moving right up to that 21-day exponential. That's the green line here. I don't know if you can see it. The last buy point on a cup first stage was at 105. It's currently trading. CRISPR is trading for 195.05. So it's trading. It's considerably higher than it's been. It's pretty far extended here. Now, can you buy it at this point? It's a little bit extended. Really the only place probably you can buy this is on the pullback to possibly the 10 or the 21-day line. I would prefer the 21-day line. As you can see, it pulled up. There was some resistance here. It then pulled back, and then it moved above the resistance. So, the ideal place, of course, to have bought it in the short term would have been right about here, right about underneath this, about 178 or 179 would have been your ideal place, or your ideal buy point. Now we're above that. So we can't really buy it right now. We've got to wait possibly for it to settle down. But it moved above this level here. And then, so it's moved into an area of low resistance. I suspect it's going to find a peak here. So it's probably going to pull back, and then once it reverses, you could probably go higher. It's got some very good ratings, relative strength of 95, which is very good. The checklist is 6 out of 9, so that meets my minimum. We have increasing fund ownership. We're 310 funds. We were 299 in September. By December, it had increased 11 more funds. So the funds are looking to this in a big way. Let's kind of take a look at sort of what funds are in there. And this is kind of a list of the funds. Boy, we have just a ton of them. T. Rowe Price Health Services, just a lot of really, really strong funds. So definitely like CRISPR. And even at this price, even though it's a little bit extended, I think that it's buyable. I would watch this one to see if it pulls back a little bit to this 21-day line. So let me put that up again. Maybe we can see that hopefully. There, I can hopefully let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, there we go. So let me zoom in. Let me zoom in a little bit on the on this. So let's see if I can come in there a little bit. Yeah, so we can see that a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. Yes, you can see. Yeah, there. Okay. So yeah. Okay. And there we go. I think. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see if I can move over to that. Well, I am sorry. That's going a little bit haywire, so let's see if I can. Oh goodness, having difficulties. Let's see if I could pan over to where we need to be. Oh, it's not panning over. Well, let me set it back to the zoom here. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully that'll pull through. There. Okay. Okay, well, oh goodness, if I can move over. Oh, there we go. Let me just move over. I hadn't, it was a little bit hard to see on the screen, but I kind of want to show you this. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, it hit resistance right here at about 163.56 here, and then it consolidated here, and then it's moved above that. So can you buy it at this level? Well, you can, but you're going to have to be willing to, it's a little bit extended. Where you probably want to buy it, if you can, if it pulls back to about this 176 level, that might be a place where you could buy it. 179 is where it is now. So I don't think you could buy it right at this moment. I think you want it to pull back a little bit. Once it gets to about this top of this resistance here, then I think you might want to be in it there, about 176. It tends to be a very good stock. Let's kind of look at, and then we looked at some of the other, we look at some of the other things here. on it. So let's kind of go through the, yep, there we go. Okay, so let's kind of go through it in terms of, you know, let me open the window here. Okay, come on, there we go. Oops, yeah. There we go. You know, again, the checklist is 6 out of 9, liking that. And of course the funds, very nice funds there. And of course the industry, 67, 197, 67 and 197, so it's in the top 60%. So basically, here's what I would do with CRISPR. This is a watch list until it pulls back to about that 176 level, and then if it pulls back to there and then reverses, then it might give you an opportunity. You don't want to buy it right away because it is a little bit extended and it can pull back on you. So there you go. All right, let's look at the buy point for Tesla, and I'm just going to see if I can give you something here with Tesla. So let's pull up the chart for Tesla, and I'm going to pull up the daily chart. Normally I would pull up the weekly chart first, but in this case I'm going to pull up the daily chart first here, and so, to look for a good buy point on this. So let me zoom in a little bit and see if we can. There we go. All right, so hopefully this will give us, there we go. Okay. Takes a second for it to kind of actuate here. There we go. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. All right. As you can see, oh, well, I thought it would be quicker. I'm going to have to just put the numbers in. Yeah, there we go. All right. So here we are, basically with, you know, with a buy point on Tesla. The last real kind of, it wasn't really a buy point as such, but it was sort of there, would have been right about here. Okay, and then it's extended beyond that. Oh, goodness gracious, hold on. Pull that over, yeah. So that level, put the level on, would have been about 691. So when it moved, basically, and this is what I was indicating before, if you've watched some of my shows, if it moved above about once it moved above about 700, that's when it really started to move. Now, is there a buy point here? Not really. What there is there's an intermediate point of resistance, which is right about here, as you can see these two bars here, and that is going to be right at about right about. Let's see if it gives me an exact number there. Let's see if it does. Okay, this is 800 here, this bar here. So let's see if I can give you. Oh goodness. So here we go. So yeah, so the last kind of movement up it went was through this about 774 number. Now this is where I would recommend, if you bought it, this is kind of where I would recommend you putting your stop loss. Would be right at about this bar here, at the top of this bar, at about 774 or 775. That's where I'm going to put my stop loss tonight. But I need to see this thing pull back. It probably will pull back and test the 800 mark here. So there really isn't a good buy point on this one. I want to see this thing pull back. I think it's a little extended. Let's see if we get two bars like we got here. And if we do, then it's showing a little bit of resistance, a little bit of a floor there. But right now it's extended. It's extended really from about 742 up. So the box here is from about 742 up to maybe about 815. That's kind of where I'm seeing it, at least currently. So no real good buy point right now. So we kind of have to, unfortunately, wait again, you know, until we can get another opportunity to, you know, to move into it. But so I would recommend watch listing this, let it settle a little bit, maybe at 800. If it moves at about 800 to 805, settles there, I think then you can have a good buy point. But right now it's a little bit extended. You want to, if you're in it from about 742, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier in some of my earlier videos, you want to continue to push up your stop loss. Right now I would put the stop loss at about 775, and let's see if we get a little bit of support at about the $800 level. So that's kind of where I'm looking for it to be right now. So it's pretty exciting. Let's see, this is what's software. Okay. Alrighty. PaySpeak shared. Oh, hey, thank you, man. Thank you for selling the live video there. I appreciate it very, very much for taking a look on TikTok. And by the way, we are simulcasting on YouTube if you're interested in looking at the charts. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to do the charts on TikTok. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I'm getting close. Let's look at Riot Blockchain. This is another one that I was talking about. I do think this is a very interesting stock because I think increasingly in the cryptocurrency world, I think that this is going to be, blockchain is going to be a big deal. And it's up today. Wow, look at that. It's up. Whew, that is unbelievable. Let's just take a look. And I'm just going to see if there's a place to buy this thing. I was going to buy this thing yesterday, and I didn't, put everything in. But yesterday is like, tomorrow and whatever. It's a little bit frothy for me right now. Let's look at the weekly chart. Let's see if we have, okay. So interestingly enough, we are coming up to essentially a buy point, which is to be about 34. So we possibly could start moving into this. Now, would I move into it at this level? No, I would wait to pull back to about 20. That's where I would technically probably look for it. The last true buy point on this one was back a first stage cup. It was about 331. So that doesn't really count for much. But we've got a 99 relative strength, and we have very strong buying activity going on. And it looks like we're going to have some sales growth here too. So this is all looking very good. Now, where would I buy this? I think I want to see this pull back a little bit and then reverse. And then if it pulls back and reverses, I might be in it at about 20. I don't know. Now, when I say in it at about 20, I say, well, why wouldn't you just put it in order, and if it comes down to 20, buy it? Well, I don't want to do it that way. And the reason I don't want to do it that way is because as it's moving down, it may continue down further. So what I want to do is I want to wait for it possibly to pull back to 20. I want to get an alert on that. And then if I alert at that level, then I want to put a buy stop limit order on it so that if it starts to move higher again, that's where I'll buy it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can put an alert on this price. So let's go here to 20, and I'm going to put set an alert, and the alert I'm going to set is right now at $20 a share. So that's what I'm going to do. So hopefully that will go off and I will find that out. But can we buy it right at this level? I wouldn't do this right now. It's a little extended. Let's see what's happening. It's way up here at 22. Let's see if it comes back down to this level of support right about here, about 19.20, and then reverses. And if it does that, if it comes up and it pulls back, then I think we can do it. But we may not get a chance for that. So let's kind of look at the channel here. So, you could buy it at this level. I think it's a little bit extended. I want to see it pull back a little bit. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But there's been some very good volume on it. So people are definitely discovering this one. It's a little bit higher risk because it's not as large of a float on this one. So you've got to be a little bit careful. But I do think above about 20 is where you want to buy it. Currently, it's at 22.72. So let's see if it holds the $20 mark, this week, and if it does, and then it starts going higher, that's when you want to buy it as it's moving higher. So I definitely like Riot on the blockchain. So let's look at GBTC. Now, GBTC, I have recommended this. I have this in the small portfolio as well. This one is sort of a proxy for Bitcoin. It's kind of an easy way to own Bitcoin. And that is that it basically, this GBTC, this Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, holds about 4% of the world's Bitcoin. So currently, this has just been a rocket ship as there's been uncertainty in the financial markets. This is an inflation hedge. I do think that this market is saying that people are getting a little bit concerned about these asset valuations, and they're thinking there may be some inflation coming on. Who knows what's going to happen? But stuff is moving into Bitcoin. This trades in sympathy with Bitcoin. So where can we buy this? Well, let's look at the checklist. Now the checklist it's 6 out of 9, which is good, by the way. Now this is an ETF and not a stock, so it's a little bit different. Normally when I do the smell test, I want to see 6 out of 9 or better, and this is definitely on a stock. On an ETF, I'm willing to accept a little bit lower because it's a little bit different. Now on this one though, 6 out of 9, we're looking good on that. We aren't really concerned with ownership of funds in the Bitcoin Trust because it is a fund and it holds Bitcoin as opposed to securities. So that looks indeed fairly good. Even that said, there are some funds, believe it or not, that do hold it. These are ETF funds of funds as they call them, about 7%. But that's not as important here. So let's look at a number of other things here. Let's look at a place that we possibly could buy this. I'm going to look at the weekly chart here to see. You know, the thing is, we've exceeded the all-time high at about 38. So it is, you know, up to about 44. I think we can buy this. Now I think it's going to pull back a little bit. It's currently at 45. I do think we're good to go in this zone here. From about here to here, we probably can buy this. We can probably buy this. Above this, it's just way too far extended. So that's kind of the area that I think we could possibly add. I've been adding to my positions, you know, here basically at I started at 18, and then I went back in at about 25, and then I've gone in at 34. I'm a little bit extended here. I want to kind of see if it pulls back a little bit before I'm buying it. But I do think long term, at least, well, in the midterm, I think that GBTC is probably going to go higher. It's probably going to go higher. So thank you for that question very much. When or how to sell Tesla? Good question. Here's what you want to do when you're looking at a stock like Tesla. As it moves higher, you want to push your stop loss up, keeping your stop loss fairly tight, maybe 2.5% or 3% below the close the night before. When it pulls back, you will be sold out. But if there's a big pullback, you're going to preserve your profits. You don't want to round trip these, because the thing about Tesla is it's very volatile, and I'm convinced that we will get another opportunity for it to move back in it. So that's one of the things you want to do when it's moving up like this. You want to continuously push your stop loss up. So let's take a look again at the Tesla chart. TSLA, of course, is the symbol for Tesla Motors. And let's see if I can kind of give you, my strategy. This is probably this is the strategy I'm going to be using. Now I'm on the weekly chart here, so I'm going to put that up here. And basically, again, we've pulled right about to the 800, to this 800 level, okay. And right now it's trading at, let's see, is it trading? Yeah, wow, it's up $110 a day. It looks like it may go on a tear up to about 850. I don't know where the top is going to be, but I'm going to be pushing my stop loss up. So basically, what I'm going to do as it moves higher, I'm going to push my stop loss up so that eventually, when it does pull back, I will be sold out at the high price. Now, what will happen is it'll pull back, and then as it comes back around and starts to move back up again, I'll do a buy stop limit order at the price that I was sold out at, so I'll continue up. This way, we can capture the profit, and then we can continue the upward movement. I do believe that Tesla will move higher, and it may, by the first quarter, it may be over $1,000. I don't know. I can't tell you, but I do think that over if Tesla holds over 800, for the next 2 or 3 days, it's probably going to go higher. So we'll see about that. But what you want to do with this is you want to protect your gains by pushing up that stop loss as it moves higher. So very good way to make money there. Let's see. Hi, Jim. Thoughts on Apple? It seems to bounce back. Here's the thing. I was sold out of Apple. I was sold out of Apple because I had a stop loss. I'm never willing to let a stock go down more than about 7%, because that's the maximum loss I ever want to take. And the reason is because I always want to preserve my capital for a better time, for a better time. Apple is incredibly widely held stock, and it does appear that it has bounced, but unfortunately, and I got caught up in this too, because I put it out that that I was buying Apple, and I did have three full positions in it. I did sell out though when it retreated. It still seems to be in a downward trend. Now, if it's able to move higher than 137.98, then I think we could see a potential reversal of the trend. But right now, it's forming a handle, and typically what will happen is the handle will form, and then eventually it will probably bounce right about here at the 40-day line. And what will happen is it'll reverse, and then that's when you want to start buying it, is when it's pulled back, it's reversed off of that 40-day line. Then I do believe it's going up. I do believe that Apple is going up, but right now you don't want to hold it through the pullback, because that can be very, very costly. So if you're down more than 7%, I recommend selling it and waiting until it reverses. I do believe it's going to pull back to about that 40-day line, which is about 120, and then hopefully it will make a movement higher. Now, can I tell the exact length of that handle? Absolutely not. But this is typically how stocks move when they are basing. What I mean by basing is consolidating, getting ready to go to a higher level. There's a cup that's formed, as you can see here, and basically the neckline of this cup is 137.08, and this is Apple. It went up to the neckline, which is the line of resistance. It then encountered too much resistance, basically too many people who were willing to sell at that 137.98 level. So therefore it retreated. So people started bidding lower, which they did, and people were still willing to sell. But now it's hit the 21-day line. This is this green line here, and people are saying, no, we're not going to sell to you that cheap. We're going to hold on to it. These are what they call the strong hands, and it has moved up. So the question is, how far will it move up? Well, if it starts to move back up to the 137.98 line, then, and it passes it, then we can say that people aren't willing to sell at the lower price, but they are right now. So it is going to continue down in this trend until it meets some resistance. Now it looks as if it's going to bounce off this 21-day line. This is this green line. Now, why do I spend so much time on these lines? Well, typically about 80% of all the stocks shares are traded programmatically. So if the programs see that it's approaching that 21-day line, it will either buy or sell it at that line. So these are typically decision points that are made by programmatic trading, and about 80% of all shares are traded programmatically. So that's why we have to be very concerned about these lines. It will come down to if it comes down to this line, what will happen is it'll either bounce off of it or it'll move through it. So you basically have two options. It's looking like it's bouncing here, so it may pull higher, but I can't really be sure until it gets up to this 137.98. You always probably want to buy as on a higher high. So it's a long explanation about the chart of Apple, but I sold out because it wasn't behaving. I thought it was going to be able to break through that 137. It didn't. When it didn't break through it and went lower, I sold out. I'm waiting for another opportunity. I may be a buyer if it moves above 137.98, which is the buy point or the resistance. So thank you for bearing with me on that long explanation. All right, trying to get out of cash right now. Should I buy more Square? I'm in at 221. Thanks, Keon. Yeah, it's interesting. I was in cash. I still have cash as well. Let's see, Square. I'm still in cash as well. I am a little bit leery right now on some of the techs, because I do think we're seeing a rotation. Now, we may get rotated right back into the techs, but it looks as if, based on gold and based on Bitcoin, it looks as if the market is expecting some inflation. Inflation is bad for growth stocks because people will move to other things like Bitcoin and gold and that kind of thing if they can get return in it. So I do think we're going to see a little bit of a cooling in some of the growth stock areas. So but the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq 100, is up today. So that's what you really have to look at. But I do think that there's a movement from the QQQ, which is particularly the growth stocks, into the more Dow-oriented stocks. Those are the cyclical stocks, the industrial stocks, the ones that benefit from a rotation. I do think we're in a rotation. So that's one of long story short, that's the thing about Square right now. I like Square, but I just think that we have to be careful, a little bit more careful with the techs right now, because they're a little bit overextended. I'm not against techs at all. Believe me, I'm for them, but I do think there's going to be pullback. And the reason I'm saying this is because a lot of the big cap techs, Microsoft, Apple, even Google and Amazon, have been pulling back. Therefore, that's a rotation out of that part of the market and more into the cyclical market. So, long story short, you got to be a little bit more careful buying the techs than when we did a few months ago, when basically you could throw a dart into the, a monkey could throw a dart into the board and we got a good return. So, but that said, Square is excellent, 95 relative strength. It's got a very excellent funds are in it. I mean, Fidelity Contra Fund in it. It's got a 100% checklist. So I mean, in terms of the good housekeeping seal of approval, it's all there with Square. The question is, can you add to it at this point? I would add to it again if I was in Square, but I would add to it if it moved above this higher high at 243.38. Currently, it's at 239. So I would be wanting to buy this one probably at about 243.50. is where I would want to basically add to my position. Now, currently you're in at 221, which is basically, let's take a look. Okay, so you very well. Okay, so yeah, you moved off as it moved above the 10-day line. That's where you bought. That's very good. Okay, so you bought there. That's good, and then it's moved higher. Now the question is, where is it going to see resistance? I believe, and let's draw the channel lines here. I believe that we're going to see resistance probably, we probably may see resistance as high as, maybe 255. So this isn't necessarily a bad place to buy it. I would be more comfortable in buying it at 243.50. As it moved beyond that higher high. That's where I'd be most comfortable in buying it. But let's look at the weekly chart, because that's going to give us. Yeah, okay, so we're at higher highs. There's not really an ideal place to buy this. The ideal place, of course, to buy it is going to be on is going to be on the neckline of a cup with handle formation. That was here, and that basically that number. Oops, let's see if we can get that number for you. Is come on, give me that number. There we go. Well, goodness, okay. Is about 82. So we're well extended above that. So there's not really a formation that we can buy off like that. So we have to buy off of a pullback to the 21-day line. That's the green line here. So let's look at that. So the ideal buy point, at least in the last few days, would have been about 221. So you bought it absolutely right, by the way, at 221. That is an excellent buy. You bought it as it bounced off that 21-day line. Now, I would only I would buy it above 243, but I would wait probably until it peaked out, which I think is going to be about 255, and then reverses again and then bounces probably off of the 10-day or the 21-day line. So, long story short, would I add to it? I would add to it if it went above 243.50. That's basically where I would add to it. But Square is excellent, and it's got an excellent chart on it, and so yeah, you're doing very well with Square. All right, so let's take a look at, okay, yeah, great. The same for parts above $14 now. Let's look at parts. Parts might give us a better opportunity, and I do think parts.com is a good stock, because I do think that, when the economy reopens, people are going to have to fix their cars, and parts.com is a great way to do it. I've actually ordered parts for my car through them. You just put it in, you look it up online, and they send it right out to you. So it's a very nice thing there. It's currently at 1412. Okay, so that's key. That's interesting. It looks as if the buy point on this one, cup with handle, was 1490. So we're right below the pivot on parts.com. Thank you very much for indicating this. I'm going to show you this on the chart, and hopefully I can blow it up a little bit for you so that you can see it. Here we go. So let me go ahead and see if I can give you a little bit more. Let's zoom in there a little bit to 200%. Let's see if that'll let me do it. Okay, there we go. Okay, great. Okay. Now hopefully, it takes a second for it to refresh here. Oops. Yeah, it takes a second for it to refresh on my screen, so that's the reason why I'm. This is right now, as you can see, this was the cup formation here. This is where the cup with handle formation is, and the pivot on it is 1490. The ideal place to buy parts.com in this scenario is as it's going 10 cents above this level. So the ideal place to buy parts.com, PRTS, is at $15. Okay, that's gonna be where it is, and you can see this. I don't know if you can quite see this, but there's a pivot here. It says pivot, and then if you look really carefully, I don't know if you can see this on the screen. It's really hard to see, but there's a little blue band, and that's the buy point at about 1490, up 5% above that. So here's the ideal place to buy it. You want to buy it as it penetrates the new the new cup with handle neckline, and that's going to be at $15. So you want to use a buy stop limit order 10 cents above where the pivot is. The pivot is at $14.90. You add 10 cents to that, you get $15. So you want to buy it as it's moving above $15 for that. So that may be potentially a very good opportunity to buy to buy parts. So I just want to take a few more things here. Let's kind of look at that to see if that could give us the kind of chart that we want to see. So take a second here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, we should be back now because I have to wait for it to kind of readjust. But it's a little bit of a lag here on this video, but we're looking very good on parts.com. 98 relative strength, liking that. And let's get at the smell test. 7 out of 9. Boy, that's good. Good ownership on funds. This is a smaller stock. This isn't, this is not a huge stock, but 210 funds are in this one, so very good in terms of that. It's definitely very viable above about the $15 level. There's been some consolidation here. I want to see it return to that upward trend. Once that happens, I think we're really good. So let's look at a few other aspects of this. Very nice sales growth, liking that. Definitely a plus with funds that are in it. 99% of the people that own this are funds, so that is a very good sign as well. We want lots of funds because those are the things that push stocks higher. So that is my take on parts.com. I think you have a very good very good potential there with that one. All right, so let's see if I can take the next question. Do you think with Biden coming in that it'll be good to buy a small position now? MAXR. Let me look at MAXR. I don't know that stock. MAXR. I think you can time some of these on Maxar Technologies. Okay, this is aerospace and defense. I do think you're thinking correct here because I do believe that we're likely to see increased activity in some of the defense contractors with Biden coming in because Biden is a globalist and Trump was an isolationist. Trump tried to stay out of wars, and I'm afraid a lot of people around Biden want to probably get involved in some of them. So I think the defense contractors probably will be a better bet going forward than they have been under the Trump years. They haven't done as well under the Trump years, but I do think under Biden they're likely to do better just because of the way the sort of the governing philosophy. That said, we have some pretty good action here. Let's see if we can see if I can find anything here. It's got a 94 relative strength. That is very good. Let's see if let's just look at the kind of the smell test on it. 77 definitely passes on for me there. We have increasing fund ownership. Always like to see that. So this is all very, very good. I want to kind of look at see what the rank here is. In this, what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of seeing, so 89 out of 197. So that's very good as well. So I mean, this is this is definitely a in the aerospace group. Let's it's an aerospace defense group. So I think that you could possibly make some pilot buys here. Let's see if I can come up with MAXR. Let me see if I can come up with some of the competitors, MAXR, to see if this is indeed the best of the breed, or or what is a good way to go there. So let's kind of take a quick look to see if I can find information on this for you in terms of the group that it's in. MAXR, and yeah, Maxar Technologies. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this up on the screen. It's relatively good in the defense group. It's number 11 out, and number one is this SIF, which I don't know what that is. So let's take a look to see kind of what's number one in the group. SIF. Let's take a look. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so basically, okay, for the aerospace and energy markets, interesting. Boy, this is 900. I think this is this is kind of a little bit too cheap for me, but this is one I think that you might want to consider as opposed to MAXR is SIFCO. Let me just take a look at the characteristics for this. Everything looks very good on it. It has earnings coming up on the 18th of February. Announces fourth. Okay, so they're looking really pretty good. Let's see. This is one you might want to consider as opposed to the one you recommended. Let's look at SIF on our other charts here. So SIF, and this is the kind of the competitor to MAXR that I want to kind of show you. Yeah, I like this one better. It's the best of the breed in the group. 94 relative strength, strong buying. And of course the price is is this Maxar. Let's look at SIF. SIF. All right, there we go. This is one, I know this is a little bit more speculative, but you might want to consider this one. This is an interesting weekly chart here. It's trading right now at about $8.95. This is not a stock that I know much about, to be honest with you, but I'm seeing some good buying activity. It's a little bit thin, I believe. It has okay, so sponsorship rating. So it's got 25% funds in it, and the management. Okay, so this is looking actually very good. We have 36 in it. So is there a place to buy this thing? Let's look at the checklist. 66, that's good enough. So you might want to think about this one, putting this one on your watch list. Symbol SIF. That might make some sense as well. So there you go. Interesting. I do think the aerospace. I think there is going to be more investment in the aerospace area, and aerospace and defense can be good under a globalist president because they tend to have a lot of actions in countries. So that might not be a bad idea. Anyways, okay, so let's take this is probably the last question because it's coming up on time. NVEE and BOOM. Let me see if I can go with just one of these. I appreciate you giving me this NVEE. Let's take a look to see. NV5. I don't know this company. This is very interesting. Okay, wow, look at this. Nice. 85. What does this company do? I have no idea. So let's kind of give it the smell test to see. Oh, 8 out of 9. Very good. Fund ownership is increasing. Very nice. Industry. 130. This is a concern. 137 out of 197. We want to be in the top 60% if we can be in that. So I'm looking to see here. Okay, so this is really in. What does this company do? Okay, it's 85 relative strength. Okay, it's commercial services consulting. You know what? I think I would probably watch this one. I wouldn't probably buy this one based on the chart. I think there's better charts out there that you can look at. Let's look at Boom. B-O-O-M. Let's take a quick look at that one. This one has similar, this has a similar chart. Yeah, but there's declining sales. You know what? I don't like either of these, unfortunately. 84 on that. Let's look at the smell test. Okay, we've got a 60. Okay, so it's acceptable. It's viable, but I'm not. I think there's other ones out there that possibly would give you a better bang for the buck. Really, I want to see things that are making a higher high. This is not quite there yet. So on both of these, I would have to say I probably wouldn't be in these. But I appreciate. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Probably wouldn't be in either of those. So, you know, the part of the thing in finding good stocks is going through and sort of eliminating stocks, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, eliminating stocks so that you get the very best ones that you're going to give the very best chances on. Okay, so let's see. Where can I buy stocks safely? Well, here's the thing. I always like to buy stocks, and this is a question from TikTok. I'll show you this on real quick here. Well, this is a question from TikTok, and basically, you know what it is that you know basically you know you can buy stocks safely by doing a few things. First of all, you always want to look at the chart. You want to look at that weekly chart to see if on the weekly chart it is moving upward. So we always want the first thing you want to do whenever you look at a chart is look to see the general overall direction. So let's take a look at a stock that let's look at a stock like let's look at Target. TGT is the symbol for Target. Now, if when we start looking at a chart, first thing we want to do is we want to look at that overall chart. We want to start with that weekly, and we want to see kind of what is the general direction. Well, I'm interested in this. Why? Because the general direction is up. It's going from low to high. Okay, so that's the first test that I do on a stock. I like to see what is the general overall direction. Then the next check that I do is using the software that I have. I check to see are funds in buying in this. Now, in fund ownership, you see there's increasing fund ownership. It's because funds are the things that push stocks up, not individual investors, unfortunately. Target is 39% owned by funds, so that's a very good thing too. And then I have a proprietary checklist that I go over, and I look at this every time. This is the William O'Neill checklist, by the way. And basically, it fails only in one area, and that's the relative strength. Is it over 80? I typically like to buy stocks that are 80 or better, but look with Target, it's 79, so it's almost there. So this meets all the criteria. So now I can put this in my watch list. Once I put it in my watch list, I'm looking to see where can I buy this? Where can I enter this? Because just because it's on the watch list doesn't mean I'm going to buy it. I want to buy it at a higher high or coming off of base pattern. As you can see, there was a consolidation of a flat base at 156. Currently, Target is selling for 191. Well, where would I have bought this in the short term? Well, I would have liked to have bought it right at about when it went above 181. Because as you can see, it went up to a level, it got resistance, and then it retraced back. These are people that are weaker, that are selling out. They're willing to sell for a lower price. And then, when it gets down to this 29-day line, those sellers to say, I'm not going to sell for that price. You got to pay me more. And then it starts going back up. And so then when it breaks through this resistance here, I want to buy it right at about here because now it's confirmed that it's moving up. I also want to look at the volume. That's these little blue balls down here. This red line across, this is the average volume, but this is not a linear chart. This is an exponential chart. So the fact that it just comes up to this level means there's tremendous volume. So where do I want to buy this? So the first step is to look to see how the trend, what's the general trend in the chart. You use the weekly chart to do that. And if there's an upward trend, then you can go to this is the second smell test. Then I look at the checklist to see, does it have 6 out of 9 criterias? If it's better than 6 out of 9, 66% are better, then I consider that's a check for me. Then I also look to see how are the funds moving into it. Well, in the case with Target, the funds are moving into it. So that's a checklist. And then I also look at the group. There's 197 sectors. I look at the group to make sure that it's that it's in the top 60%. So I'm really interested in the top about 120 sectors of the economy. I'm not interested in the lower sectors just because the movement of the capital is away from that area. So that's what I look at next. Then I go to the daily chart to see if there's a place that I can buy it. And I like to buy it on a higher high. And in this case with Target, on the daily chart, in the last about week or two, it reached this peak of 181 and then it retreated and then it came back up. And then as it's going up, that's where I want to buy it. As it's moving higher than its highest high. So would I buy Target? Well, my rule of thumb is that I want to buy that from the kind of that higher high plus about 5%. But I don't want to buy it higher than that because it can pull back. So that's kind of confusing. I have videos on this on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to try to flesh this out a little bit more, but how to buy on higher highs. So that's how you can safely buy stocks. Long story. Now, I've come to the end of the day today. I've run a little bit over it. Thank you so much for watching my channel. I'm going to try to do a market update every morning at about 10 o'clock, kind of in what stocks I'm looking at on the day and how I'm trading. I did one this morning on Blink charging, how I did that transaction. I'm going to try to do these hopefully every day. I may not get around to everything just because of the volume of things that are going on, but to give you that. Also, I have another great resource, and that is, that is Dallas Trading Floor subscription. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. But I also have action trade alerts that are available, and you need to go to the website for that. It's www.dallastradingfloor.com if you're looking on YouTube. And if you're looking on TikTok, it's even easier. Just go to my profile, hit the link, and you'll be taken right to a menu where you can just sign up for the action trade alerts. I need the first and last name plus your email address, and of course it's all free. And if you don't want to subscribe at any time, that's okay too. But what I do here is I give you sort of some action trailers, sort of how I'm planning to trade the market as well. So I will be back tomorrow at 2:30 Central. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch.